Tell me this isn't cool. It's just so cool to look at this. And what am I looking at? I'm looking at a demo of Unreal Engine 5.8. And this is procedural content generation, PCG. So I can procedurally change my scenery right here. So for example, I have this box here and I can expand it. And notice how it changes. It'll blend everything. These things, these trees, everything here. Look, there's trees, rocks, grass, different types of trees. I'll hit Control Z so we can see, look, it changed again, and it keeps altering the scene as I modify it. In traditional game creation, usually back in the day, man, how did we do this? We would take, for example, look, a tree, and I'd drag the tree. I'd place them one by one, then I'd go and, look, hold down Alt. Rotate it and all that, place it right here. Nah, man. Today, we're talking about creating entire worlds using PCG. And this scene, is a scene that already combines water, different types of biomes, like for example, a desert here. There's also these trees with rocks, different types of trees. And all of this, guys, you can modify. This is a demo of 5.8, of Unreal Engine 5.8. So all these trees, these things, you can either work on them manually, so you can create your own tree, your own textures to put on the ground, the brass, everything you want, and replace it with yours. And then you'll already have something ready to work with, right? And then, anyway, what matters is what you'll work on from there. And you can also buy ready-made packs to be able to use this here. Man, if you buy something ready-made and can replace everything, and it's exactly the type of vegetation you wanted, man, you managed to change something much more easily and without having to reinvent the wheel. So that's what we mean when we say today that we have more possibilities to create things. Using Unreal Engine, which is free. This world is fantastic, really cool indeed. But what I wanted to bring up here is a very simple detail, but one that makes all the difference, available in Unreal Engine 5.8. Let me get a slightly smaller map here so we can be more practical when moving things around, because there's a lot of information. It's heavier and all. So notice that I have a simple PCG here, right? Inside this box, everything I change, look, I can take this volume here and change it. It's information right here. I don't know, let's increase it here, look. I increased it a bit. Let's put 100 here just to see, look. It fills everything inside the box's dimensions with the little things, according to the rules. This forest, this PCG volume right here, is using the simple forest. So it's using this rule file right here. Simple as that. It's placing rocks, trees, grass, and the part where it adds a static mesh, which is a 3D item, is right here in this little node. So in this node, I have, for example, the possibility to put whatever I want. So let me show you on the map what the big news is and the problem we had before. And I also have to talk about this issue, right? Why is PCG gaining so much momentum? And what we can expect for the future. So let's take it step by step. What was the problem? The problem before was this, okay? I created this, I can place it procedurally. It fills the space really well and understands the space. But man, if I'm making a game, a story or something, and I want the character to actually pass through here, or maybe, I don't know, I'm gonna place an item, a house, or something else in the scene, and well, I didn't want it to hit specific parts of the map, I wanted some parts of the map to be clear, or something like that. Of course, there are modifiers in various ways, but man, the new feature that took a while to arrive, but is now available, is that you can change each item and that information is saved. How so? Look, I have these trees here, right? Let's say I don't want this specific tree, or I want to create a path through these trees or something like that. I can go to that configuration file that adds rocks, trees, and grass. Anyway, this can get extremely complex, okay? But let's focus on what's simple here. And here, where it says tree in the static mesh spawner, I can set it here. Temporary manual editing enabled. Okay, I changed that. And that'll Now, man, I can simply look. See how this little thing appeared here? I can select this, and from there, I can change my tree's location. I know I can. Wait a second. There. And then I change my tree's location. Not just this one too. And I can do this with anything I want. So now it gives me the freedom to be able to modify things. This is cool, because let's say you spent a long time creating the rule exactly the way you wanted. Man, you put in various things, there are different biomes and all, but I don't know, you want to make a specific change to the map or just a small part? It didn't turn out exactly how you wanted, now you can modify it, and quickly, I've created a path here. And the coolest part is that, okay, I've modified the location here, but I can also modify the scale or even modify the rotation. And as a standout feature, Unreal Engine 5.8 now brings this right here, which might seem silly and many people didn't even notice, but look, I can move it in all directions very easily because here in the middle between all the axes, the three axes I now have by pressing E, I have a little ball. I know that in some software, this is already quite common. I know that in Maya, this is very common. Very common in the sense that, well, it has this. But now it's also an Unreal Engine. And man, I find this extremely satisfying. And it brings some options, okay? As you move things around here, it shows it, keeps it safe, and so on. And this is something that shows how Unreal Engine tools and other 3D tools they go as time passes, maturing, you know? They are becoming more and more robust. And we can't expect them to be completely ready right away, because it's something that takes time. And then guys, notice that as I go back to the graph or to the viewport, sometimes it unselects. Why? It's temporary, it doesn't keep this edit. Always. So you need to go there, activate it, and then from that, you make the modification. And so I have to say, it's buggy. I'm on 5.8 preview, meaning it's a preview. From this, people will test, Epic Games itself will collect data on what's working, what's not working, what's robust, what's not robust, and will fix it. So you notice that I myself am here selecting, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And there, at the beginning of the video, I had even shown and said, no, but I know it's possible. So there's that. This into consideration when you go to modify, especially in this first version. But it works. And then let's do the following. Let's increase here like absurdly the scale. And well, I have all my PCG here and I'm gonna clear it, right? And now I'm gonna generate again. Notice that it preserved for me the modifications I had made to my tree. And that's cool because at that point you wanted to preserve it, right? And then you don't need to do, if you made many adjustments, you don't need to do it again. Let me grab it here real quick and let me bring it because then you'll see that it also preserves the location. So notice that our big tree is here in this part. If I bring it again, it will come back. So this is in fact very interesting, very cool for us to be able to modify rules. So PCG comes to solve tasks that are repetitive, which is basically how scenarios work in general. Even with a house, you have walls, you have rooms, so you can build with rules, and from those rules, you have exceptions. And you start telling your story based on that. So I think this is the point where, for those of us on the other side using it, it seems simple, but I'm sure for the folks at Unreal Engine who are there day in and day out developing cutting edge technology, man, it's a real pain, you know? It's really complicated. Because there are so many adjustments you have to make, so many compatibilities, so much code. So doing this for us, as much as it's obvious and interesting, and maybe for some people it's even minimal, for them, I'm sure that it's not exactly that, which takes time for you to fix, to do, and look, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's really buggy. That's just how it is, don't worry. I'm sure that for you at some point, it won't work or it will work. So very cool. And there are other options, okay, that you can play around with here. You can remove all these parts. Look, there's point intersection that you can change. point deletion, which is, how do you say it? Deletion. It's deletion indeed. Look, you can select and then delete. Boom. Ah, I don't want this thing here. So you can keep doing a lot of things with much more ease, and it won't generate there at that point again. Man, it's very cool, and you can restore it. So it's a feature that might seem simple, but it ends up being very robust and really cool indeed from PCG. And there's another new thing involving Unreal Engine 5.8 that they brought, which is, what's the big problem when we're dealing with vegetation? It's heavy, man. Notice that here I have several actors on the map, so I have a lot of things spawned. All of this casting shadows, sometimes dynamic shadows with wind, so all of this is heavy. And they worked on The Witcher 4, they're working on The Witcher 4 with Unreal Engine 5, and they're presenting several vegetation features. Dense, open world, they want to bring something optimized and very beautiful. And from 5.8, you can take the tree you created wherever you want, import it into Unreal Engine, and make your own vegetation with the same technology of theirs that they used in The Witcher, which they showed in the State of Unreal 2025, which allows you to separate this tree into several other branches, but with a very robust optimization. So it's really cool indeed, everything they're delivering, but 5.8 is that thing, right? Guys, there's a lot of experimental stuff and a lot of stuff that isn't working so well. And, well, I'll say it again, okay? For those folks, just for whoever suddenly wants to access this example, to access it, you'll download Unreal. It can be on 5.72, it's already there, but then it won't have this feature. It might be slightly different. But for that, you have to activate the plugins here, see? Everything related to PCG. I don't think you need all of them, but anyway, you can get them all to test, activate the plugins. And then you come here, see, to the little gear, and select Engine Content, Plugin Content, and then these folders will appear here. You can go to Plugins, and here there are some examples, including there are several examples. I don't know, you can just play around here. Look, there's water simulation, there's forest. Man, there's a lot of stuff here. You can keep poking around. It's really cool. And that's where the PCG one is. Look, I just went into the water simulation one just to see what it's like. And there it is. Look, water simulation. It's already from Unreal itself. You use it, and here where there are several others, take a look. It's worth it. And keep an eye out, because on June 17th, we're going to hear a lot about Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine 6, The Witcher 4, Fortnite, all of that, okay? We're going to see it starting at 11 in the morning at this year's State of Unreal, okay? And of course, later I'll bring a little summary here of everything that happens, of what I find most relevant. Thank you so much for watching until the end. That was today's video. We'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see ya. A big HUD. Bye. I'm out.